My 29 female, boyfriend 25 male says he doesn't get jealous because no other man would want me. They try to tear down your self-esteem so that you can never think you can do better, which is the quite opposite because they know you can do better and they try to gaslight you into thinking that this is the best you can do. I've been dating my boyfriend for 5 months now and he has a very blunt personality. We live in Korea for context. He is Korean and I'm not. Most Korean women are slim and petite. I'm short, stocky, and recently, because of a hormonal imbalance, I've gained a lot of weight. I am now on a realistic meal plan designed by a dietitian, with my hormone issue kept in mind. As well as this, I go to a boxing gym 3 times a week and walking 40 minutes every day. Today, my boxing trainer posted a video of me on Instagram doing the training, and the caption was, "She is growing in strength every day. She is beautiful, and after her diet, she'll be the most beautiful." I showed my boyfriend just because I felt like a badass doing the boxing training. I am not sporty or well coordinated at all. And he laughed and said it's a marketing tactic. I agreed with that. Then suddenly he said, "I see your inside, that's why I'm with you, not because of your outside. But I am not worried about anyone stealing you because no other man will ever just see your inside and not the way you look on the outside." The statement hurt me a lot because while I'm overweight, I don't think I'm necessarily unattractive. I take pride in my clothing, my hair, my makeup, and always try to present myself as best as I can. Before I met him, I also went on plenty of dates. I guess I want to know, what would you do in this situation? This isn't the first time he has made comments about my body. His nickname for me is the Korean word for fatty, but it never bothered me much until he said what he said. My self-esteem is on the ground. Oh, she has updates. Thank you all for the comments and advice. I really appreciate it. I have spoken to him and have decided to take a step back from the relationship. I want to concentrate on my weight loss and fitness journey, and I need to be in a positive headspace for that, which I can't be with him. Some people have mentioned the cultural aspect, and I agree. It is a cultural issue, but it isn't something I'm used to. I have never had the men in my life talk to me that way, so I can't just chalk it all down to culture. I saw a few comments mentioning the whole K-pop/K-drama fantasy, and what did I expect? I have lived and worked in Korea for almost 5 years. I am very much aware of the beauty standards, culture, and language. This is my first serious relationship since living here. I just happened to meet a Korean man. He was in my proximity, we hit it off, and then he changed. I wasn't expecting a K-drama romance. I was just expecting a romantic partnership.
Am I wrong for lashing out on a friend that canceled our trip short notice because he felt inspired by God to go on a different trip? So me and my best friend scheduled a trip months ahead this summer to spend time together. We're both college students and don't get much time to hang out during the semester. We were going to spend a couple of weeks on the trip and I've scheduled my entire summer around it. Well, only a couple days before the trip, my friend tells me he had an epiphany and decided to become a counselor for some Christian summer camp for the whole summer. Looking back, I feel bad for lashing out, but as someone that doesn't understand spirituality, I just got upset by the news. I want to respect my buddy's beliefs and religion, but it's as if the divine being that he believes in didn't consider nor respect my schedule, and when I told him that, he got upset. I do feel bad and had no malicious intent to disrespect his beliefs because I know it's not his choice. But the month's worth of preparation, scheduling, and excitement going down the drain made me emotional. Am I wrong for lashing out to a friend that canceled our trip short notice because he felt inspired by God to go on a different trip? I want to respect my buddy's beliefs in religion, but it feels like the divine being that he believes in didn't consider or respect my schedule, so I told him that and he got upset. I do feel bad and had no malicious intention to disrespect his beliefs. That's not his choice. But the month's worth of preparation, scheduling, and excitement going down the drain did make me emotional. I've apologized, but our relationship has been different ever since. Edited to add that there were some asking if I could still go on the trip, and the trip was completely canceled because he was the one that proposed the idea of the trip and claimed he made arrangements to make some of our plans possible. Also, my lash out was exactly what I said. I basically implied his God had no respect for man by claiming, "Does he not respect my schedule?" And I only learned after he canceled the trip that this impression kept popping up in his mind a few weeks before. Am I wrong for telling my sister that her feeling sick all the time is because of her breast implants and embarrassing and exposing her because we were in front of family? I, 21 female, have an older sister, 26 female, who is sick all the time, gets a bunch of rashes, and is complaining all the time about feeling like trash. About a year ago, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and ever since she's blamed every single one of her issues on the disease, even if it's completely irrelevant. She stubbed her toe, it's because of the disease. She's late to an event, it's because of the disease. She doesn't feel well, of course, it's because of the disease. And it's important to note that the doctors even told her she's probably had it her entire life. But she also 5 years ago got breast implants, and ever since then she was starting to feel sick and horrible all the time. And if y'all don't know, breast implant illness is a real thing. It's very common where women who got breast implants will start feeling sick after getting them. And y'all, that's exactly why I get scared to get my own. Am I wrong for telling my sister that her feeling sick all the time is because of her breast implants and embarrassing and exposing her in front of family? Our family was in town for a bit, so we were all hanging out, and she starts doing her usual complaining, saying that she feels horrible all the time because of her disease. I got fed up with the complaining and told her being sick all the time and feeling horrible is because of her breast implants, because she didn't start feeling that way until after she got them done. Now, she didn't like that I said that and started screaming at me, "You don't know what the F you're talking about, and I'm just trying to make it all about me." Then me and her went back and forth for a minute until her mother stepped in and took me to the other room. She told me that I was in the wrong because I don't know my sister better than she knows herself, and I exposed and embarrassed her in front of the family. They had no idea that she got breast implants, and my sister kept it very much on the down low from everyone, so I understand why I could have embarrassed her. But I don't think I was wrong because it's pretty obvious that's what caused it.
My neighbors came to my door. I had some experiences with them. They invited us for a barbecue not long after they moved in. They asked me and my wife if we would look after their pets and their house for the next 3 weeks, as they needed to return to Taiwan as his mother was dying. They even left me with $500 for food for their 2 German shepherds and a cat. I don't know what happened to them, but they just never came back. I don't know if they ended up in some sort of prison or decided to just not come home at all. Today, I found out their basement had flooded, probably sometime within the last week. Apparently a pipe burst, but the entire basement is completely fucked. I have paid for the leak to be fixed, and I spent all day using my shop vac to drain their basement to the best of my abilities. Between this and one of their dogs needing surgery, I have spent several $1,000s of my own money, and frankly, the damage to the basement was pretty awful. I don't have their insurance paperwork, and I don't really know if I can even do a claim for theirs. On top of this, his 2 giant German shepherds, while they are amazingly good boys, it is becoming almost too much for us to handle. Their last name is extremely common, and their Facebook profiles are private, which gives me very little avenue to tackle this down. Timeline, June 7th, 2019. Neighbor asked me if I would look after their pets and their house while they were handling the death of his mother. July 1st, 2019. They sent me an email stating they needed some additional time to handle his father's affair. He apologized and said he would be back by July 15th at the latest. July 21st, sent him an email asking what's going on. Explained how we are going on vacation in August. Never got a response. And then he ends up giving these point by point breakdowns. And September 6th, 2019, so June, July, August, September, ended up moving the 2 dogs and cat into our house. They seemed extremely miserable. I ended up dismantling part of our joined fence to allow his dogs to use their outdoor area. And then one of his dogs started showing signs of becoming ill. He ended up needing a surgery, sent another email almost a year later, never got a response. Today, bringing his mail to his house, I noticed the smell, discovered the basement was flooded. And then questions, it's what exactly is my level of responsibility here? I agreed to look after it for a few weeks / couple of months at the most. It has almost been a year now. Is there anything I can do? Location, Ontario, Canada.
Jesus Christ.
I would assume they're dead. They're dead. They died. They're gone. They're not coming back. It is titled, I accidentally got my sister pregnant and we aren't telling anyone to make her rich husband believe it's his.
What? I mean, apparently sister, but what?
Yeah. My sister and I grew up very close. We are close in age. I'm 22 and she's 25. So we got to experience a lot of life things around the same time. Because of that, we became best friends super early on. Growing up, I was absolutely never attracted to her in any sort of way.
Yeah, it's your sister, bro.
I also believe it's worth stating that I have never had any sort of brother/sister fetish or any sort of incest fetish either. And after everything that's happened, I still don't. 3 years ago, I started college and moved to a different state. A few weeks ago, my sister's longtime boyfriend asked her to marry him. It's the first time I was ever really super far away from my family, and it bothered me really badly. I got super bad depression and became really homesick. Around 7 months later, I got to fly back home and see my family for my sister's wedding day. It was one of the biggest days of my life, seeing my best friend marry the man of her dreams.
I'm just like, hit us with the punchline. Like, girl, stop dragging it out.
Now, a tiny bit of backstory here. Her husband's dad is insanely wealthy, a really big name in the pharmaceutical business. He not only paid 100% for their huge wedding, but also bought them a gorgeous house in full, apparently with a check, as a wedding gift from mom and dad. I went back to college and life back home went on normally. I was still really depressed and homesick, but decided to do what I had to do and just push on. I was able to visit back home a few more times because of holidays. The one time I went back home other than for a holiday was a surprise party for my parents' 30th anniversary. Usually when I went home, I would get picked up at the airport by my dad, and I would stay at their house in a spare bedroom. But because this was a big secret, my sister picked me up, and I was staying at her house for the 5 days I was in town.
I just hate this.
The party was great, and everything went wonderful. There was a lot of alcohol there, and I definitely drank my fair share. The party ended around 10 p.m. My sister and I were both pretty drunk and took an Uber back to her house about 15 minutes away. Her husband works long hours and was unable to take off work this day, and by the time we got home, he was already asleep in their bedroom. We decided to go into the spare bedroom that I was sleeping in just to catch up and talk. We chatted for around half an hour, just talking about life and shit. We were both pretty drunk, and at this point, it was getting pretty late. I had to pee, and I told her I would be right back, so I got up and walked into the bathroom attached to the bedroom I was staying in and started to pee. Didn't think anything of it. When I walked back into the room, my sister was laughing. I asked her what was so funny when she admitted, quote, "I somehow managed to go 22 years without seeing your dick." I was super confused and sort of embarrassed. I asked her what she was talking about. She told me that she could see into the bathroom mirror, which reflected where I was standing to pee. Well, was it worth the wait? I drunkenly said, laughing at her. Just like that, the mood in the room completely changed.
No.
It was like someone flipped a switch.
No!
We kept bantering back and forth for a few minutes when out of absolutely nowhere, I started kissing her on the lips pretty aggressively. I immediately realized what I was doing and started to pull away when she grabbed onto my head and pulled me back.
Oh my God, I'm just trying to get out of here in my brain. Oh my God. What? What in the West Virginia is happening?
Oh, you could have said Westeros too, but you never saw Game of Thrones.
I didn't. You talked all about that.
I got extremely turned on, and she did too.
There's some things that even on Reddit you should just omit. Sorry.
I didn't feel like we were brother and sister at all. It felt like we were longtime friends who finally gave in to each other's lust. Things got heated quickly, and before we knew it, we were having sex. It lasted for around 10 minutes before we both finished. We laughed it off nervously and got dressed quickly. We chatted for just a little bit longer before finally deciding to call it a night. It felt so wrong and weird afterwards. The rest of my trip was super awkward. Us having to pretend that everything was normal, with this being the biggest thing on our mind, was challenging. But before I knew it, my trip was over and I went back to college. Weeks later, I received a text from my sister asking if I had some time to talk alone. My heart sank because I knew it was going to be about that night. I put it off for hours before finally calling her. She called me to tell me that she was pregnant and she's 100% certain that the baby is mine. I was speechless. I wasn't expecting something like this at all. We talked and tried to figure out what we should do. We were concerned in a situation that was so above our heads that we couldn't even figure out where to start. Abortion came into discussion multiple times, but neither of us wanted that. We decided that it would be best to act like her husband is the father and raise it like that, so without ever telling anyone because of how wealthy his family is.
No, the baby is going to come out with 6 foreheads.
She is due the week of June 10th. Absolutely no one knows or has even the slightest clue. This is a secret that my sister and I put our life on to protect. Things will never be the same between us. The last handful of months, I've become a heavy drinker and party goer and failing almost every one of my classes. It's messed me up a ton. It's going to be super weird whenever I have kids now, too. It's so weird how quick a dumb decision could change the rest of your life.